Hello, everyone. My name is Mirna, and on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, we want to welcome you to Mindalia live streaming, where thousands of people around the world gather to see the lectures and interviews organized by Mindalia TV. Today, with us, we have Angel Ribo. Angel is a CEO consultant, TV host, international public speaker, and president of the Wisdom for Kids Foundation, and he's going to be interviewing Karen Sutton. Karen is a certified nutritional counselor with the American Association of Nutritional Counselors. She is also a registered practitioner with the Bach Foundation of Great Britain, a registered yoga teacher, and she is an medical intuitive healer. Before starting, we want to remind you that Mindalia TV is a nonprofit organization, that our only mission is just to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness around the world, and that you can help us. How? Just by subscribing to our channel, liking this video, leaving us a positive comment down below. In this way, you help us reach as much people in the planet as possible. Also, we want to remind you that while we are live streaming, like right now, we have the active chat. That is an excellent tool for you to interact with us. You can enter the questions. Just please remember the format, the word question in caps, the place where you're seeing us from, and the actual question that you want. At the end of the interview, Karen will be kindly answering. And last but not least, the great news, Mindalia TV is broadcasting in Spanish, English, and Portuguese. So if you know the languages, you are more than welcome to visit us in our channels and other informational platforms. Without further delay, I am going to be leaving you now with Angel and with Karen. Angel, Karen, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mirna, for the introduction. And Karen, to say that we are pleased with your presence here with us is an understatement. We are thrilled to have you. Thank you very much for sharing time with us.
Thank you for having me.
So the first question that we'd like to ask you is, what is your life devoted to, Karen?
I had a long and varied journey to this point, and this is actually something that found me more than I found it. But I basically, at this point, really like to provide the best information that I can to people that will help them to a journey of healing. That's not necessarily just physical, it's often emotional too. Any information that I can gather from my education, from my experience, from my intuitiveness, and then pass that on and be able to help people find the answers that they need, or find perhaps what it is, what that little thing that they didn't know they were looking for that gives them the direction to go into. So that's the main purpose, I think, that truthfully I've been brought to do over my own journey.
Nice. We heard all the different areas of expertise in the introduction, and I was extremely curious about the part of being able to use intuition and medicine at the same time to take care of people's lives and health. Could you please elaborate? How can you possibly use intuition into something which is so scientific?
So my actual degree in nutrition is in nutritional sciences, and I love science. I'm very science-based, and if you would have told me even just 5 years ago that I would be doing medical intuition, I would have said, "Oh, no way." I like the science behind holistic medicine. I use it a lot to when I'm working with clients to actually give them, to actually verify what it is, that it's not just out of the blue that we're saying these things. But how the intuition came in with me was basically through the Bach Foundation, which is they are flower essences, and they're not oils, but they're actually essences that are based on frequencies, very similar to homeopathy. And I started with the Bach Foundation, which Dr. Bach, who was a medical doctor, is the one that actually rediscovered, I will say, these 38 remedies in the late 1930s and 40s, when he was working with patients and realized that emotions he felt he was just treating the symptoms and not actually getting to the underlying reason for people's illnesses. So he worked with and came up with these 38 flower essences, which, as I said, are distilled down to just a vibration. And I started using them in my work with my holistic work and my nutritional work, because so much is an emotional journey for people, and the emotional journey is so much a part of what manifests into our physical problems. But what happened as I did this more and more, I started taking in other flower essences from Australia, from North America, from Hawaii, from all over the world. And suddenly I had so many flower essences that I couldn't even remember what I had, or by going by memory or by interviewing people, really stand just from my head what it would be the best one for them to have. About the same time, I started getting calls from a learning center that was working with children with behavioral problems, ADD, and that type of thing. And they were out of town. So I was having a little thing where I could interview the parents. But once I stopped talking to the parents, I had gotten to the point where I would kinesthetically test people, where I would actually go through, and some people do this many different ways, some with the finger, some do it with an arm, some do it with a pendulum. I have my own way that was working every time. And so I started doing it with the flowers, and then I would make up a personal remedy along with my nutritional and supplemental therapeutic suggestions, send it off to these people that I never met. And I would, follow up, and they would say, oh, we haven't even bothered with the nutrition or this. We've just been using the drops, the flower remedy drops that you've made, and we're seeing such a turnaround. And time after time, that would happen where I would just go in remotely, and this sounds so vague, but I would go in remotely. I would just say, I'm in the energy field of this child or this person. What flowers do they need? And I would go through and blindly test, come up with the flowers, make the remedies, send them off. And every single time it would be correct. I would even sometimes look at it and go, this doesn't sound right. And then when I would ask the parent or the child or the person, they said, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you that, or I didn't want to tell you that. And the energy field in the flower would match, they would know. So as time went on and I did that over and over again, I began trusting and just going into people's energy field and testing them remotely for supplements, for food, for various frequencies. And every time as I learned to interpret the information that I was getting, I got stronger and better results than if I just went off of science and education and experience. If I put it all together and then added the energetic field and the intuition, it was like a win-win. But I have to tell you, I was the biggest skeptic and the biggest doubter of it. And I sometimes still go, how can this be? But it is, as I've listened more and more, and I worked with a mentor who was a medical intuitive for 30 years and worked with doctors. And as I've come more and more and become more informed and worked with it more and more, I understand that it's true that we are all connected, and that if you understand what it is that you want to make with your connection, for me, it's a connection about health and healing. It's not that difficult to do. I was listening to Carolyn Mays the other day, and or Mize, some say Mays, some say Mize, but she's probably the best known medical intuitive. And he made a statement that really stuck with me, that the world behind our eyes is a new horizon. And that's exactly how I feel about the intuition, that it is this world that we cannot see, but it is there. And if you will just let go and let be, it's all there for us. And so that's how it's me, really. I didn't come to it.
Wow. So
does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. No, 100%. I'm really like with eyes of astonishment listening to you. So thank you. It's beautiful what everything that you're saying, really. Let me, I just want to make sure that our Mindalia TV audience understands it well. So you actually would be able, for instance, to put yourself now in Myrna's or my energy fields.
Well, Myrna can testify because I have done it's called a intuitive scan, call it a read or a psychic type of thing. It's a scan because I actually go into your energy field, and for me, and it works differently for everyone that does it, but for me, I try and look at overall energy, then specific energy patterns. Then I actually scan the body that in my language from how I understand the body, which is mostly through nutrient emotions, what is going on with it. And for me, I can't do it right this moment for you. I need to feel that I don't go in a trance, but I need to feel that I'm relaxed, I'm not pressured, and that the information, sometimes when someone asks me to do it, I wait a while, and I might wake up in the morning and with this person on my mind, and I know the day that it's almost like the information needs to gather itself. And then all I'm doing is accessing it and passing it on. That's all that I feel that I'm doing.
Yes. I mean, I didn't mean specifically us. I mean, it was giving us as an example. But
Yes,
what I mean,
yes.
when you say remote, I just wanted you to picture literally what happens when you, but you
So
just
when I
did.
say remote, so to give you an idea, so I'm most of the time, not all of the time, often I know the person. The majority of the time, if I know the person, I don't know the person well. It might be a student in my yoga class. It might be someone that I know as an acquaintance. It might be someone that I've met that's decided to do it with me, but I don't really usually know them. No, it's Myrna. Myrna's a perfect example. I met Myrna in a Kabbalah class. I only knew her from class. I knew her name. I knew she had a child, but I really didn't know much of anything else about her everyday life or anything about her health. And she asked me to scan her. And so she was a typical example that I knew as an acquaintance, but I knew nothing that was going on with her. And I scan from my home. I don't have the person in front of me. I can do it. I have done it with people around, but I prefer to just do it when I'm ready from a remote location, which is usually my home. I would say the majority of the people, though, I never meet. I just get their name and I get permission from them to go into their energy field. And I feel that's really, really important that that you just don't walk into someone's field without their permission. And then I record it on on this phone that we're talking about talking on right now. I record it and then I send it as an MP3 to their email. And then I ask for feedback, and that's really important because um, everyone that the few people that, like, I worked with a mentor for a year, the woman Winter Robinson, that has been doing it for years. And as she said, we all get it in our own language. And sometimes it's very metaphorical, sometimes it's very symbolic, sometimes it's very straightforward. So the first that I worked with Winter, it was about understanding, if I got it in a metaphorical or a symbolic way, what was that saying to me, for me to understand my own symbolism and my own information as it was coming to me. Because sometimes it looks like a cosmos, but in the cosmos, there's all kinds of things that are actually specific to an organ or to a situation. Sometimes I actually just see the blood or I'm actually more I feel what's going on with the person. I'll feel their headache. I'll feel their grief. I'll feel some type of vision that's gone on to them. So often I feel it. Sometimes I see it in my way, which would be not like a vision picture, but it's my own way of seeing. And sometimes it's just a sense that I know what it is. So it comes in many different ways, and that's where your experience in. And that's also where my background comes in to understand that this is a nutrient being presented to me, or this is an emotion or whatever. So trying to make it as simple as I can, but it's simple, but it isn't simple.
Absolutely. And going back to the flowers, which again seems to me extremely fascinating. You were saying that every flower of those flowers that Dr. Bach was studying in the 40s and 50s, and every flower has a different vibration. Did I get that right?
Yes.
So what happens?
What
Yeah, exactly.
Dr. Bach, okay, so what Dr. Bach actually rediscovered, because if you go back many centuries, flower essences were used by the Aborigines in Australia. They were used in actually some of your early European healing and medicine, but they kind of got lost in the middle centuries. And Dr. Bach, so I'm going to say Dr. Bach rediscovered them, and what he was able to do, which is really interesting, because they don't have all the measuring. They didn't have all the measuring things. Now we have all kinds of equipment that can measure frequencies and see frequencies, but back then he did it through his own practicing on himself. But what he was able to discover was that certain flowers resonate at the same frequency as certain emotions in our body. And so what the flowers actually do is they act like a tuning fork to, let me use one, mimulus is for fear, for very specific fears. So you have someone for a personality type that's general high. So say you have someone that's fearful of crossing the road. Well, it's in one way, it's important to be fearful to cross the road so you don't get hit by a car. You want to be fearful to the point of looking both directions, but you don't want to be so fearful that you're paralyzed and you can't move to cross the road. So what this is a very simple, explanation here, but what the flower mimulus would do is it would tune in and bring that extreme paralyzation and bring your emotions into where it's full fear, where it's positive. So it takes the negative, tunes in, and brings to the positive part that you can work with whatever that vibration is or that emotion is. And then Dr. Bach's theory, and it's being proven over and over again nowadays, traditional medicine is finally getting on board, was that emotions, the mind and the body, are so important. And if you can let the emotions come into balance, then that frees up the physical body to help heal itself. And so that's basically what most of the flower essences do, is they just try and work with the emotional field, bring it into balance, bring it to the positive, so that then the body can pay attention to what's going on to it physically. Now, some of the flower essences, like the Australian essences, they've even gone further. They go more into ethereal and DNA. And I mean, the frequencies that we're finding more and more, I mean, it's just opening up more and more avenues. But yes, so it's purely frequency. They're the flowers, so how they make the flower essences. And I'm rambling on here, Angel, so if you want to interrupt, just tell me. I'm very excited about this.
No, I know. I mean, it's a pleasure to listen to you. So, no, absolutely. I mean, we're getting to know a lot of things, and I think it's important for everybody when they try different avenues, when they're trying to heal themselves. I think it's important that they really know the history, the background, why you, coming from the background that you came, you eventually ended up doing what you do today. So I think
interestingly enough, I had a degree in horticulture before I went back for nutritional business and horticulture. I owned a plant nursery for years. I was working with plants, and from plants, I went into the nutrition of the body, and everything that the plants need, the body needs: the pH, the nutrients, the right environment, the right water, everything. So I was already into plants, and then I went into the nutrition, and the flowers were just a natural fit for me. But the flowers are distilled. All that it is they take the particular flower, where it's grown is really important. because the frequency of the soil, of the place of where it is. So the Bach Foundation flowers are all grown in certain places in England. The Australian essences come all from flowers and plants in Australia. Green Hopes come from New Hampshire and Vermont, Hawaii, obviously. So each place has its own soil, and its own environment and its own frequency. And it's a very simple process. You can make their own flower essences. You take flower, you put it in water, you put it in sun, and you distill it down to the point where the sun and the water actually hold the memory of the frequency of the flower, and then you bottle it. And it sounds simple. It sounds like magic. I can't tell you how many workshops I've done on this, lectures, and I know people think I'm just talking woo-woo. Once they experience it, they know it's a real thing. I've worked on $1 million show horses. I've worked on all kinds of animals down to a rabbit. I've worked with children, none of them knowing that they're getting these. It's not a placebo effect. It's a very real effect. So, but it is in the frequency. And I feel the intuitive part of that is also part of the frequency. It's me going into the field, find frequency that's giving me the information.
Let me ask you something then. Would it make sense to say that then, for instance, if you want to heal of a particular condition, whatever the reason is, would you also say that we could actually bring home specific plants, not to eat them, but just to have them around? I mean, could we say that every plant has a different vibration, and we could go to the
Yes.
Nursing facility and so, oh my God, I mean, could you please explain a little bit about that? That would be awesome.
So yes, and yes, but to elaborate it on a little bit, every plant, everything has a frequency. Everything carries a frequency. It has its own, what we'll say, fingerprint. Okay, and a lot of people like to work with crystals, oil, plants, herbs. All of it is frequencies. Even if you take a medicine that's prescribed by a doctor, when you take that pill, it's actually broken down into a frequency in your body. That's really what's going on, and that frequency either blocks or enhances, or everything is frequency. The difference between the essences and, say, drilling a flower or a plant into someone's room, which, yes, that would can absolutely help change the vibration. But when you take it to the essence, it's been distilled to the point where there's no physicality left in it. And so the frequency is much higher. That's why the essences actually work on a much more, they'll work in the subtle bodies, whereas the oils won't. The oils will work wonderfully, but there's still some physical presence in the oils. When you get to the essences, it's pure vibration and nothing else. So if you surround yourself with certain plants, you absolutely are going to raise your vibration to whatever. And if it happens to be the plants that you need to tune into whatever is going on with you, but you still have the physicality of it. So the vibration is not going to be quite as high, but it's certainly going to be good. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. I remember one time a friend of mine, sorry to make this personal comment, but shared with me a book called The Secret Life of Plants. So you just reminded me of that. And so thank you for, I love when you are able to connect so many different things which are around us, and we are typically not very conscious that they have an impact, a positive impact in our lives. So we are approaching the first part of our conversation. And I wanted to ask you, could you succinctly say, like, if someone suddenly, has some sort of condition, is diagnosed with something which is a big concern. Let's say that unfortunately that happens very often. A friend of mine that is diagnosed with a terminal disease, a degenerative disease. What would you say, like the first 1, 2, or 3 steps that person should take, to start, having a positive impact on their physical condition, on their health?
It's interesting that you asked that, because I was just reading an article a few hours ago about this young man who about 20 years ago, at the age 28, was diagnosed with leukemia, and he was told there was absolutely no cure. And what he did is he must have been quite a forceful person, because he got his medical doctors to agree to this, but he refused chemotherapy, refused any of the traditional things, and did, and this is exactly what we always say in holistic healing, is he took the whole picture. So for him, exercise was very meditative. So he did a series of walking and swimming, which was a form of meditation for him. He went on some specific nutrients. He changed his environment around him. And he did go to the doctor and have blood levels checked on a regular basis. But basically what he did is he changed to specific nutraceuticals. He changed his attitude towards things. He changed often, actually, even people that he hung around with that weren't going to encourage him towards this. And for him, it's very true about meditation, prayer, intention, whatever you want to call it, however it resonates for you. For him, it was an exercise program. So it's interesting, because I wrote an article years ago about the magic bullet. There is no one magic bullet, but in my experience over the years, the people that get well from things that told that they won't get well from, they change pretty much everything. They something that gives them they actually gives them gratitude, and sometimes they have to start with gratitude that doesn't feel real. They change their environment. They work on changing their thinking. They change their diet, and they use nutraceuticals in a way that are therapeutic. And then occasionally you might have to use traditional medicine too, but you put it all on one thing. It's the combination. It really is, and it's often very life changing. People will find that they're not associating with the same people, and not that there was anything bad about the people that they were associating before, but it wasn't a healing environment for them. They may not live in the same place anymore. You have to be willing, if you really want to get well, or you want to be well in whatever is going on with you, you have to be willing to really have discipline and be willing to make changes. And a lot of people only want to take a pill, or only want to do a little of this or a little of that. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. It's not what everybody can do, truthfully.
Excellent. Thank you. So before we go to the questions and answers, Karen, would you be so kind to remind everybody on Mindalia TV, how can we find you?
Okay, so actually, I'm not crazy very good about with technology. So you can have a Facebook site. It's Karen Sutton, CNC, BFR, Bach registered practitioner, or you can get me through my email, which is naturally1@gmail.com. And only if people want to have me do anything with them, what I really do mostly now is I do a medical intuitive scan. As I said earlier, I record it and then I send it back to their email. And then with that scan, suggestions, whatever suggestions come to me for whatever information I'm receiving, and hopefully sometimes trying them on to someone that can help more specifically. Let's say it's an acupuncturist, or it is that they do need to go see a doctor, or whatever. So that's the best way. As I said, I don't generally meet most people. I generally just do it this way, and then communicate a little bit afterwards, and then they go on to whatever it is that they need to do. So I'm kind of a catalyst, truthfully.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so let's go to the questions. Thank you so much, Karen. So first question, let me put this a little bit larger so it's easier for me to read. Awesome. Can these scans be done in pets?
Okay. only once have done an animal as an intuitive scan. I have worked with animals with nutrition. I have worked with animals with essences, but I've only done an intuitive scan with pets one time for someone that specifically asked me. There are people that specialize in pets. And so I would probably encourage them to go to someone that specializes in pets, only because what I feel that I know really more in particular about human beings.
Okay,
Not to
perfect.
say done, but
No, fair enough. Thank you. Of course. Do you connect with beings from other worlds or dimensions?
oh, tricky question. I don't know. It's a definitely higher vibration. Okay. Whether it's beings, I don't feel that I'm channeling. Some people will feel that they're connecting with another person and they're channeling through. However, I will tell you, I don't think the information that I receive, it comes to me for me to pass on through my particular take on it, my particular interpretation of it. I have seen, and I'm going to use the word seen with quotations because it's my way of seeing things. I have seen um, higher energies, shall we say, for lack of a better word, helping someone through something. I can also usually feel the presence, especially of love. If someone's very, very loved, I can just feel that love coming, and it doesn't always feel like it's from here. It feels like it could be from other dimensions. But I think that's a belief. That's when everyone chooses to have their belief pattern.
Okay, next question. Can you recommend a flower for insomnia?
It depends on what the insomnia comes from. So if the insomnia is from, and this is the most common for a flower, is if it comes from the fact that you cannot turn your mind off, that you're just on that, I call it like the gerbil wheel, and it just, just will not shut off, then white chestnut is wonderful. There also is Rescue Remedy Sleep, which is Rescue Remedy, and it's 5 different flowers that Dr. Bach put together as a remedy for stress and trauma. And when you throw the white chestnut in there, that's the sleep part of it. It shuts off the mind from continuing going. It doesn't make you sleepy, so you could use it during the day if you're kind of overthinking something. I've with students worrying about tests before, but it just calms everything down, and you're obsessing about things, and then all of a sudden you're like, what was I obsessing about? And then as you let it go, then you fall to sleep. So that would be my recommendation.
Excellent, thank you. Next one, can the flowers help with chronic illness?
So yes, they can. It's really interesting. When Dr. Bach first rediscovered the modern flower essences, he was very specific about the fact that the flowers were not supposed to be attached to a specific illness. They were supposed to be attached to an emotion or to a personality type, and then that would be what would release into letting your body heal. However, over the years, there's been so much more development with flowers. If you go and Google a specific illness, and you will find a flower attached to it. In my own experience, I think that's good to a point. It's certainly helpful, but the flower energies are very subtle. And although you may have a specific illness, if you're not really understanding the underlying emotional bed that's underneath that, you may just be trying to band-aid on with a flower that actually addressing. So for me, in my experience, for how I find they work, you've got to be careful of the subtleties. But yes, you can find that information.
Awesome. Thank you. Next one. I have seen candies or gummies said to be made with Bach's flowers. Does that work?
So this is my own personal opinion. They do work to a degree, but what happens when you put them in the candies and the gummies, in my opinion, and I've actually tested this too, you lose a certain amount of the vibration drops. So they're not as pure because they've got fillers in them. So they do work. And sometimes they're easier than someone remembering to take drops or have drops made up. But in my opinion, they and experience, they don't carry as high a vibration.
Excellent. Thank you. Next one. What essence is recommended for anxiety and panic attacks?
So again, that really depends. And again, I'm just doing Bach. There's so many others that you could use too. Like actually, to tell you the truth, Australian Essences has Marcopa one, and that's actually for adrenal fatigue and anxiety. So that's a good one from Australian. For Bach, it really depends on what's bringing on the anxiety. There's very, again, it goes into subtlety. Rescue remedy in general is a good one to have if you just tend to have panic attacks or you're in an emergency situation. It will calm everything down. If you're having regular anxiety, then really working with a practitioner to find out the source of the anxiety is going to give you a much better match with the correct flower.
Okay. Thank you. Next one. How can I protect from EMFs? I guess this is electromagnetic fields at home. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. It's really, really difficult nowadays because, we have all these invisible signals that are going through, and in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of science to back this up, is, our cells haven't evolved as fast as our technology has. So our cells we are beings, and our cells are little electric power plants. And so you have all these invisible EMFs coming through to you, and our cells are being bombarded with this information that they haven't evolved to quite understand. The best way we can do it is, of course, and you've heard this a million times, don't have your phone in your room, don't have your modem in your room, don't have your TV. Even people talk about the fans I'm in Florida, so we have overhead fans. That's the best way, especially if you're sleeping. There are there is a flower essence offered by, again, Australian Essences. It's called Electro. And he can actually get it in a pendant, or you can get the electro drops. And that particular one has some really interesting background on it. When the Chernobyl nuclear disaster happened, Ian White, who's the founder for the Australian Bush Essences, actually made this electro combination, and they did a double placebo where they used it on a certain group of children. They used the electro that had a lot of radiation going on. And then the other group, they used other various modalities. And within 2 weeks, children that had been using the electro flower essence had a reduction in radiation. I think it was right around 40 to 50. It was an amazing number in a short amount of time. So I actually do that myself when I'm I'm in a really extra sensitive electromagnetic frequency situation. I attend and I use the flower essences. And then some people use crystals. I mean, there's any number of things out there. You can actually do energy routines. There's Donna Eden has a zipping up test that I've used many times that helps to some degree. It's difficult though. I don't think you can completely, unless you go to the and top of the mountain where they don't have any, any radio, TV or anything there. I think it's almost impossible in today's world to completely shield yourself.
Thank you, but thank you very much. I had never heard of that particular plant or oil. So thank you so much, or essence.
It's an essence. It's an essence. Yeah.
Excuse
it's
me.
A combination of different plants frequencies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for correcting me. Is there a way to decrease the negative effects of chemo in the body?
There definitely are. Actually, the electro essence that we just talked about would be an excellent one. There are certain nutrients, and of course, right off the top of my head, I can't think of them, but there are certain nutrients that have a lot of science behind them that help reduce chemotherapy. Some of them are amino acids, some of them are other supplements. Again, off the top of my head, I can't come up with them, but yes, there's quite a few things with science behind them that your doctors probably wouldn't be aware of, but it's definitely out there.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. I have a friend face psoriasis and vitiligo. Is there any natural treatment that you could recommend?
With psoriasis, they actually have shown it to be a vitamin D deficiency, and most people do not get enough vitamin D. We're so made to be so afraid of the sun. And even when you're taking vitamin D supplements, for the most part, people do not take a high enough one. Years ago, vitamin D was thought to be toxic if you took it in certain amounts because it's our lipid and our fat cells, but they've shown that 10 to 15,000 IUs of vitamin D a day are very safe. So, and some doctors even give a 50,000 IU pill per week. So with psoriasis, absolutely vitamin D. Also, pycnogenol, which is it's from a grape and also from a marine animal. That's been shown in certain therapeutic doses to be very helpful with psoriasis too. Psoriasis, eczema, most people find it on a gluten-free diet. They find relief. Thing about a gluten-free diet is you can't just try to do it. You have to do it. It keeps your body inflamed, and it takes sometimes 6 weeks for your body to clear out. So if you don't have bread for a week and then you cheat and have a sandwich, then you're starting all over again. You're never getting to base point. So that's what I would say. The vitiligo, that's a really difficult one, and I haven't yet come across. I'm sure there must be something, but I haven't come across what it is that will help with that.
Okay. Thank you. Next one. Is it true that our immune system is a reflection of our emotional body?
For me, what I have, especially as I'm doing these intuitive scans, what I am finding to be verified is that yes, what I often am able to detect is things that haven't quite manifested yet in the physical body, still in the energy body. And if some change is not made, then they're going to manifest in the physical body. I feel like actually when things are in the energetic and the emotional body, that's when we can make the biggest impact before it gets into the physical body. The energetic and emotional body are the template for the physical body. And that's actually been shown over again that actually we're in the womb, our energetic body comes first when it's complete. And the physical body that becomes us is patterned completely off that energetic template. So yes, our emotional body and our energetic body are so much what the physical body is going to manifest.
Excellent. There's a follow-up question which is, what can we do to boost our immune system?
Different things for different people, but there's certain things like vitamins huge. Colds, they now are referred to as a vitamin D deficiency, and the flu is a vitamin D deficiency. So again, back to vitamin D, hugely important. I am a big proponent that the sun is our friend, not our enemy. That you at least 20 minutes a day we need it, because vitamin D is a hormone and we need the sun to activate it. So even if you're taking supplements, you still need the sun. Positive, which is easier said than done, but the more positive that you can be, the more positivity you can have around you is your immune system. Community boosts your immune system. Pets can boost your immune system. Definitely the right diet can boost your immune system. Sleep, hugely important for the immune system. So all the stuff you hear, it's true. That's what it is, the immune system. And if you have an emotional issue, it needs to be addressed and worked through. That will definitely positively affect your immune system.
Awesome. Thank you. Next one. Let me see. I have several essential oils at home and I use them randomly. Am I messing up with home unknowingly? That's a great question.
It is a great question. So, I think for this person, it would depend on how much they trust their gut, okay, which is their intuition. I myself kinesthetically test everything that I do, and that's something that anybody can learn and anybody can, but it takes some time because it's supposed to be objective. And when you're doing it with yourself, when you're first learning, you can be subjective and you can get wrong answers. But sometimes when you just are drawn to something or you just feel that that's the right thing, that's exactly right. So if she or he is randomly going, but they just feel like they're being drawn to it, it's probably the right thing.
Nice. Next one. What in our energetic body can turn into a vitamin or nutrient deficiency?
It's basically what it manifests. So it's interesting because people will come from the same area and have been exposed to the same, let's say, chemicals or environment, but each one's body will manifest differently. Someone will have allergies, someone will have a thyroid issue, someone will have cancer, so basically it's really so individual. I don't really have a specific answer for that because whatever your sensitivities are, if your energetic field is affected, that's how it's going to physically manifest. And it's going to be different for everyone. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but.
No, that's okay. Next question. How do you prepare yourself to make an intuitive scan?
So for me, and this is just for me, everyone's different. But for me, I do a little meditation and a little Kundalini. I usually do a little Kundalini yoga, which is basically sometimes a series of chants or breathing practices. I just try and relax my mind, and I try and be in a time and a place where I feel like I don't have anything else pulling on me. Try to make sure I'm well hydrated, and that's about it.
Awesome. Is there a specific essence which is good for sexual relationships? Wow.
I'm sure there are. Anything that's for the first and second chakra is going to be good for sexual relationships, and there's a number of them. This would be where someone would want to go to a practitioner or test for it, because there's a number of them for the first and second chakra, and that's definitely what your sexual issues would be.
I didn't. Okay, could you explain for people who are not familiar with the chakras what the chakras are, please?
Okay, so the chakras are energetic systems that are they're all over our body, but for the most part, the three that you hear the most of, and the one that you probably is referred the most to, is the Ayurvedic one, or the Vedic one used in yoga, which is the 7 chakras that run from your pelvis all the way up to the top of your head. In the Christian religion, they have 9. They have the 12 Sephiroth. In the Jewish, which they don't actually call them chakras. They call them, oh gosh, Mirna would know better than me. I think they call them conduits of light. But basically, what they are is they're particular areas in the body that have are like a vortex. They have a high specific energy pattern to them, and each one of them has their own energetic system, their own mind, their own brain, their own particular pattern in the way that they work. And so I work mostly when I'm scanning people. I usually work with the 7 that are the ones, the yogic tradition ones that start from your pelvis and go to the top of your head. So when I say first and second chakra, I'm talking about the root chakra, which is the energetic system of birth in our tribe, and the second chakra, which is the relationship chakra or energetic system. And then they also are attached to certain organs. So the first chakra, it being in the root, is going to be a lot about sexual organs and everything in that area. The first chakra. The second chakra is going to be more about intestines and kidneys, adrenals, all of that. And as you go up, each one will have an emotional center, an energetic center, and it'll be related with certain organs and parts of the body too. I was always skeptical about chakras too, but I have done so much work with chakras now. You can actually feel them, you can move them on your own, you can settle them, you can distress them. Anybody can actually work with a chakra.
Wow.
They're very, very real. Mm-hmm.
So interesting. And this is a question actually coming from me. What would you say is the most common question that you get asked of people that are, in pain or suffering or in any category? What's that question that you get most frequently asked?
I don't know that I've had a most frequent question. To be honest with you, most people know something deep inside what's going on and why it's going on. They just want someone to validate it. So I do get, what should I take? The most common is, what supplements should I take? But when you go deeper into it, people really know what's going on. They just want validation, and then it's up to them what step they want to take in. So usually they start with almost like, what pill can I take? But they ask for a supplement or a food. And then it goes from there. But there's no one thing. So.
Okay, excellent. So to finalize our conversation today, I would like to remind Mindalia TV's audience again, how can what can we do to contact you? Where can we go to contact you?
Right. So my Facebook page, Karen Sutton CNC, or what I actually really prefer, and this I know this is very old-fashioned, but email naturallygreen1@gmail.com.
Excellent. Well, we've learned a ton of things today. Very interesting, answers. So thank you. As I said in the beginning, thank you. We are impressed by your wisdom, and we love having you here and to be able to help our audience. So thank you again, Karen. It's been a big pleasure for us to be with us, and this is your home. We are welcome back anytime.
Thank you very much, and I hope it helped.
Oh, it did, absolutely. Again, this is Angel Ribo with Mindalia TV. Thank you very much for being with us today, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.